My father was really influential at a really critical time where I had a summer where I played basketball when I was like 10 or 11 years old. And I scored not a free throw, nothing, not a lucky shot, not a breakaway layup, 0 points. And I remember crying about it and being upset about it. And my father just gave me a hug and said, listen, whether you score 0 or score 60, I'm going to love you no matter what.
Wow.
Now that is the most important thing that you can say to a child. Because from there I was like, okay, that gives me all the confidence in the world to fail. I have the security there. But to hell with that, I'm scoring 60. Let's go.
Right.
And from there I just went to work. And I stayed with it and I kept practicing. You know, my parents were great. You know, growing up, you know, they instilled in me the importance of imagination, of curiosity. And understanding that, okay, if you want to accomplish something, I'm not just going to sit here and say, yes, you can do whatever you want. Yes, you can, but you have to also put in the work to get there, right? So they taught me that at a really early age, man. And when you grow up as a kid thinking that the world is your oyster and all things are possible if you put in the work to do it, you know, you grow up having that fundamental belief.
You know, you grow up and you make game-winning shots and it's awesome. You come back the next day and miss a game-winning shot and it's misery. And then the next day comes and you're back playing again. And you understand that life has this cyclical nature where it's, you know, what you do on Monday is fantastic, but then Tuesday is a bad day. But guess what? There's Wednesday. Yeah. So are we just supposed to live our lives like this the whole time? You know, versus just staying like this and understanding that it's really just a journey of evolution every day. It's just constant improvement, constant curiosity, constantly getting better. The results don't really matter. It's the figuring out that matters. And it's just piece by piece, and it's the consistency of the work, which I feel like a lot of parents are missing today because we're not teaching that to our kids. We tend to say like kids don't want to do the work, but in reality, it's when we're failing them because we're not leading them the right way and teaching them, you know, how to fish, you know what I mean? And so like the consistency of work, Monday, get better, Tuesday, get better, Wednesday, get better, right? And you do that over a period of time, you know, not like 1 month or 2 months. I mean, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And then you can get to where you want to go.
I think that's when the idea of understanding a long-term view became important. Because I wasn't going to catch these kids in a week. I wasn't going to catch them in a year, right? So that's when I sat down and said, okay, this is going to take some thought, all right? What do I want to work on first? All right, shooting. All right, let's knock this out. Let's focus on this. Half a year, 6 months, do nothing but shoot, all right? After that, all right, creating your own shot. And then you focus. So I started creating a menu of things. When I came back the next summer, I was a little bit better. Right.
And then you being like, I've got my jump shot from 15. I've got my
I got my jump shot from 15. I got my 3-point shot, like just open shots, not miss open shots, right? And be able to shoot it with speed because those kids are so much more athletic.
Yeah.
And then the next summer I came back, I was a little better. And the summer came back,
you
next summer I was a little better. I scored.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't much, but I scored.
And this is 12, 13.
12, 13. And then 14 came around, back half of 13, 14 years old. And then I was just killing everyone. And it happened in 2 years. And I wasn't expecting it to happen in 2 years, but it did because what I had to do was work on the basics and the fundamentals. While they relied on their athleticism and their natural ability. And because I stick to the fundamentals, it just caught up to them. And then my body, you know, my knees stopped hurting. I grew into my frame. And
then your athleticism, once you have the fundamentals,
the
hard work, the mindset, and you tack on the athleticism, it's game over.
Then it was game over.
Wow. So from 13, you're good, average still?
I was good. I was good. And then about the end of my third, like right when I was turning 14, I became the best player in the state.
At 14?
At 14.
So from 12 to 14, you went from scoring 0 to being the best in the state of all ages.
Yep. But it's simple. Like if you do the math on this, right? Like if you're thinking about how often kids are playing. Right. I tell this to my daughter and my daughter's team as well that I coach. It's a simple thing of math. If you want to be a great player, if you play every single day, 2-3 hours, every single day, over the course of a year, how much better are you getting? Most kids will play maybe, an hour and a half, 2 days a week.
Right.
Do the math on that. It's not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done. Right. So if you're obsessively training 2-3 hours every single day over a year, over 2 years,
you're accelerate.
You make quantum leaps, man.
You have this mindset, but how did you develop that? I don't know if that's what you call the Mamba mindset, but how did you develop that And when did it start?
It started in middle school and high school, because a lot of the kids that I was playing against were inner city kids.
Yeah.
And so they're looking at me as if, okay, this kid's soft, right? He's from the suburbs of Philadelphia. His father played in the NBA, played professionally.
He's got it easy.
Got it easy, born on second, all this other stuff, right? And so they felt like they could try to be physical or try to intimidate me and do all this other stuff, which they couldn't, right? But now I'm saying, okay, well, you're trying to attack me. How am I going to attack you? How can I mentally figure out ways to break you down? How can I show you that, no, I have the edge, right? And so that's when it first started for me, is figuring out how to get the upper hand on an opponent that way. There's a quote from one of my English teachers at Lower Merion named Mr. Fisk. He had a great quote that said, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." And that's something I always live by. I'm not going to rest. I'm going to keep on pushing now. There are a lot of answers that I don't have, even questions that I don't have. But I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll figure these things out as we go, right? And you just continue to build that way. So I try to live by that all the time. Yeah.
And what was your routine and ritual like after every game? Would you watch almost every game over, or certain games?
All of them.
Every game you
Every
watch?
game. Every game.
The whole game
The
back?
whole game.
No way.
So it started with me when I was when Phil Jackson's, his first year here with the Lakers. One of assistant coaches, his name was Tex Winter, and I call him Yoda. I mean, he was like 82 when he got here.
Wow.
And he was responsible for teaching me the triangle offense.
How old were you then?
I was 21.
So 4 years in the league?
Yeah,
or?
so about my fourth year in the league.
Okay.
And so I go up to his room, and this is when there were no iPads or anything like that, right? So when you're on the road,
VHS tapes,
you have to call down to the front desk, and they have to bring up the TV with the whole, the rolly thing and the VHS and the cassette tape. You pop it in, and I thought we were going to watch what we call touches. So watch all your touches when you have the ball, all the decisions you make, good ones and bad. No, we're watching the start of the game to the end of the game, and not like the TV feed. We're watching the in-arena feed, the layup line, the timeouts.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, rewinding, stopping, fast forward, rewinding, slow motion, every little thing, every game of that season, with the 82-year-old Yoda.
Oh my gosh.
Who is as brutally honest as you can get.
What did that teach you that season?
It taught me to look at detail. Right, look at things at their smallest. Right, look at body language. Look at the energy between players, our team and the other team.
Wow.
Right, look at the tactics. Look at the overall strategy, and to look at how tactically things are manifesting themselves. And because I watched so much film, then it gave me the ability to see game in real time as if I was watching film.
Wow.
Where I can see pop, 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 because a lot of times the game starts moving really fast. But if you train yourself to watch hours and hours of film, the game's not moving that fast anymore. You can really recognize who's doing what and why. Then you can position guys in the right places in real time.
You were so dominant your whole career, one of the greatest of all time. Was there a weakness that you had?
Challenge for me was always compassion and empathy.
Because you're like, guys, let's go. Get results. Shut up. Don't complain, right?
I don't want to hear your whining. I don't want to hear it.
No excuses.
Don't tell me how rough the water is. Just bring the boat in. I don't want to hear it. And it's
that's funny.
It's understanding okay, these guys have lives outside of here.
They have other things happening.
Have other things happening to them that may be affecting the way that they're practicing or the way that they're performing. Right? And it was hard for me to understand that because nothing bothered me. Anything personally that never fazed me when I played. You
compartmentalized it
very well. So I couldn't understand how my teammates couldn't do that either until so I had to really work on that aspect of it.
That's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Did you feel like you never really had the compassion you wish you would have had, until the last maybe couple of years?
Yeah, so I think about 2009 things started changing for me. I started really making a conscious effort to better understand. And that doesn't mean, you have compassion and empathy so you go softer on them. It's more like you put yourself to the side and you put yourself in their shoes and understand what they're feeling. And then you have to make certain decisions of, okay, what buttons do I need to push for this player to get them to the next level? So it's not sit around and it's all happy-go-lucky type of thing. Your leader, your job is to get the best out of them even if they may not like it at that time.
What are you most proud of from your 20 seasons?
Honestly, it was sounds may sound a little shallow, but I got to say beating the Celtics in Game 7. And the reason why I loved that series so much is that we went down 3-2 against Boston. And now you got 2 games coming home. I remember sitting in the locker room, and they beat the crap out of us too that game. So we're sitting in the locker room, and it's really, really quiet. I'm sitting there looking around, and we just lost the Celtics in 08, so this is like revenge, right? And they're kicking our butt again, right? So I sit around, and I just started laughing. And then I remember Derek Fisher looked at me like, and Lamar looked at me and goes, what is funny? I said, dude, they beat the crap out of us. They just beat the crap out. I said, I'm missing the part where that's funny. I said, man, listen, if we start this season and they say, all you have to do is win 2 games at home and you're NBA champ, would you take that?
Yeah.
And like, right.
Yeah, right.
That's all we got to do.
Yeah.
Go
Down
home,
3-2.
win 2. We're NBA champions. All we got to do is win 2 games in a row. That's it. We'll take care of the first game, and I promise you, they're not winning Game 7 on our home floor. It's not happening. And so we all just laughed about it. And then we went out and we figured it out. But that Game 7 we're down 15 points in the fourth quarter, right? And that's when you have to collectively look at each other and say, the spirit of your team must be good. Because at that moment is when teams fracture. If the energy amongst each other isn't there, that trust isn't there, you're done. And we were able to collectively dig deep together and say, all right, we're going to figure this thing out.
Wow.
And I wasn't playing well. I wasn't shooting the ball well at all. And so my teammates
picked you up and they delivered.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, to me, the mentality is a really simple one in the sense that the confidence comes from preparation. So when the game's on the line, I'm not asking myself to do something that I haven't done thousands of times before, right? So when I prepare, I know what I'm capable of doing, I know what I'm comfortable doing, and I know what I'm not comfortable doing, right? And so in those moments, if it looks like I'm ice cold or not nervous, it's because I've done it thousands of times before. So what's one more time?
Can you talk a little bit about what the Mamba mentality is?
Well, I mean, overall, the idea is a very simple one. And, the Mamba mentality simply means trying to be the best version of yourself. That's what the mentality means. It means every day, you're trying to become better. And it's a constant quest. It's an infinite quest. So starting at the age of 2, when I first started playing the game, and on and on and on, I always ask questions. I always try to get better every single day, learn more.
You were asking questions at 2?
Oh, dude, I was asking questions all the time. You'd be surprised. Like, some people, like my kids at 2, could do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Right? At 2, I could dribble a basketball. I could shoot a basketball on the Nerf hoop at the house. And I would go to practice with my father. I would observe my father. I'd sit and watch games with him. And
was he your first coach?
Yeah, man, I guess you could say that. A lot of things I learned by being around the game. Mm-hmm. Right? So by the age of 6, I was already strategizing versus other 6-year-olds. The age of 6, I figured out 6-year-olds couldn't dribble with their left hand. And so I said, okay.
A lot of 12-year-olds can't dribble with their left.
Well, yeah,
hand.
well, imagine 6. So when I was playing these 6-year-old kids, I would make them dribble with their left because I knew they couldn't. And so they dribbled off their foot. I'd pick it up, lay it up. Do it again. Dribble off foot, pick it up, lay it up. So at 6 years old, I had 63 points. And and I remember my dad.
So your 6-year-old self could beat your 38-year-old self because you only scored 60 in the last game.
Yeah, no, but I can dribble with my left though, so that's a problem. But yeah, I mean, listen, I just constantly looked for things to learn from, and very observant. So if your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train at 11, right? 12, say 12, train at 12, train for 2 hours, 12 to 2. You have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8, right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions, right? Now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4. You go 4 to 6, come home,
breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in. Well, it's to never to be unyielding.
Never give an inch to anybody.
Never, like you're always going after it. Always going after it, always going after it. And if there's a challenge that ensues, oh, good, I want to see how I stack up to that. So you go after it, And it's just, it's fun. It's like you get a chance to compete against opponents and you get a chance to see where you stack up against them. It's like, I want to see. Maybe I'm not good enough today. If that's fine. I'll be good enough the next time I see you, though. And you get a chance to always measure yourself. And it's just fun to do that. So I guess that's where relentlessness comes from. I mean, I had a year of playing. Like when I played basketball in Italy, I was taller than everybody else and faster, like the age of 11. Right? And I came back to America to play basketball, and it was not the same thing because kids were bigger, stronger. And so I went through a summer of playing basketball in America where I didn't score 1 point. Mm-hmm. It was one league, I didn't score 1 point, and it was devastating. But I had to, I'm not giving up. It's not going to happen. So you bounce back and you keep playing, you keep practicing, you keep practicing. Every kid, every person has the ability to put one foot in front of the other.
One step at a time.
Right? So like if you're saying, okay, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, you're at the bottom of the mountain and you look up and you're going, I'm not going to climb Mount Everest, right? But if you break it down into sections and you just 1 foot in front of the other, 1 step at a time, next thing you know, you're at the top of the mountain.
Right. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to be fearless? Why is that such an important part of the Mamba mentality?
Well, I mean, because I think the greatest fear that we face is ourselves. Actually, I think it's not anything that's external or anything that's superficial. I think the greatest fear you face is yourself, because we all have dreams, and it's very scary sometimes to accept the dream that you have, and it's scarier still to say, okay, I want that. Mm-hmm. It's scary. Because you're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you going to feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it. No matter what, go for it. Not for anybody else, but for yourself.